Hey, yo, just checking in from South Carolina. As they say, I think that's how they say it here. So, hey, just to recap on getting ready for Jesus to put us in governmental positions and high offices. So we, the people. So as the corporate CEOs are getting thrown overboard, the government's getting thrown overboard, the church is getting thrown overboard. And I'm not talking about his church. I'm talking about the church. There's two churches: his church and the church. So the church is secular bench warmers, pew sitters, and they don't get in. They don't pray. They don't do nothing. They just show up on Sunday all dressed up and put this smelly cologne on and all that stuff. So they're the smelly ones. They sit in a pew. So so get ready, be ready. So this is not a time to goof up. There's not a time to be angry, crazy like the rest of them. So there's a lot of them that are going to be taken out. Says Satan gets a third. We talked about. So a lot of them are taken down, taken out of position, and we the people will rise up. The reason why it was one nation under God and we the people, because it's all was supposed to be spiritual. We the body, Jesus. If you say it slow, G is us, Jesus in us, God's Spirit in us. We are the body. So Jesus, can't come back technically in a massive way until enough people humble themselves and pray. But because enough people have humbled themselves and prayed, we've already reached that point of no return in a godly way, a God-blessed way, to where Jesus is showing up in people's houses and their lives every which way he can. Because it's us that is the problem. We the people can be prideful, arrogant, to want to, a bigger church, a bigger truck, a bigger this, a bigger that. And it's not about that. It's about what you need. What are your needs for today? Like, you watch enough movies like Rags to Riches, and where they start out poor, and but they have a poverty mentality, and then they get rich. They still have a poverty mentality, because it's not. They don't realize it's about God's people. So the love of money is the root of all evil, and it's the love of money, not the money. So they don't know how to act. So they didn't know how to act when they were poor and do the right thing, help the neighbor, love thy neighbor as thyself, and have no other gods before him. Jesus gave two commands: love him with all your heart, strength, mind, all your stuff, and love thy neighbor as thyself. So two commands. So I've seen so many people fail in the last 20 years. I started, I finally gave up my life for his, gave up my agenda for his agenda, back in 2000. Finally go, so, okay, Lord, I'll do whatever you ask. And even if I can't pay my bills, I'll do whatever he asks. So we're in a critical time to where, not really us, but a lot of people, because they're still doing wrong, and they don't realize that, demotion or promotion. What do you want? A promotion or pro in motion, or a D in motion? A demotion. So as things crash and burn all over the world, we're going to be needed on the front lines. We're going to be needed in a lot of areas. And some of you, it's cool. You don't have to be on the front lines. Like, maybe you're a cook, a baker, a candlestick maker, or whatever. Just like I said when Jesus kept showing me about Joseph, about how the kingdom came. The kingdom was here in Egypt. But now it's a different story, because pharaohs are being done away with. All the evil rulership, all the liars have to be done away with. And the great chain of commandos, the great chain that comes down from heaven, is a chain of people, locked arm in arm, hand in hand, which means that we're in agreement with him. We're not doing it of our own strength. We are the body. A great chain comes down from heaven, but the chain goes up, the chain of people humble themselves and pray, 2 Chronicles 7:14, and then enter the marriage supper of the Lamb, 7:14. And a lot of you have been there. So after I was there thousands of times, sometimes I look around. It is not because I was bored in any way, shape, or form. I just want to see who else had entered the throne room. So many have entered, and I have to remind you to remember that you were there, and how you'll get epiphanies during the day or in the middle of the night to where you get a revelation that you have to get out. Like Brother Larry had one, what was it, 2:28 in the morning or something like that. And you get these epiphanies. And the Spirit of God brings it back to your remembrance in order to, because in order, his orders to speak to you. Just like the order, after the order of Melchizedek, the orders he had was to applicate the sins of Jesus. Otherwise, the wind and waves couldn't swallow him up. The storm couldn't kill him. Nobody could kill him. Nobody could whip him. Nobody could lay hands on him until the sins were applicated spiritually, then they're applicated in natural. So he was beaten almost beyond recognition. Otherwise, he could not have been beaten. When the soldiers came to get him, whom do you seek? He said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus says, I am he. And the soldiers all fell down on the keisters, on their butts, fell down. So he invoked the Father's name. So I am that I am in Moses. Moses, before we understood it being the Spirit of God was in Moses. Moses glowed in the day and glowed in the dark. And they said, wear a veil. Your eyes are freaking us out. So, golly. No, don't wear a veil. This is no time to wear a veil. It's time for you to be unveiled. And it's time for you to speak, echo what God is saying in heaven. And a lot of people are hearing very similar things. And they're just different versions. And a lot of people, only comprehend it for certain angles. Like, the prophets understand it from so many different angles. Apostles do also. But the rest of them, pastors, teachers, evangelists, and all the workers, may only understand one angle. So we have to repeat so much of what was said. And all the metaphors, all the visions, all the cryptic revelation, and book of Revelation and throughout the Bible now has to be handed over, simply put, to where they said to Jesus, why do you speak in parables to them? Because he spoke straight up to the disciples. Why do you speak in parables to them? He said, so if they can't grab a hold of this parable and understand it, then they won't be saved at that time. At that time, they wouldn't be saved. So at this time, everything has to be unveiled, downloaded, revelated, spoke out, and you have so many people speaking it out. And like I say, I prayed for leadership in the church, not his church, because him and us, his church. And the church, I spoke out a lot, and then, of course, they kick you out of there because they get jealous. Like, why would you want to be jealous of a guy who might have a bad hair? Like I said the other day, a hat hair, helmet hair, whatever. Because, we go low in order to go high. The reason why we can enter the throne room, the third heaven, is because we have the code of humility. We have humility. It's really in here. It's not an outside coat. It's an inside job. 2 Chronicles 7:14. That's why we enter. That's how we're allowed to enter. That's why Lord will answer our prayers. And if not all your prayers will be answered normally in this time, because it has to be like a domino effect. It has to be the first fruits. The people, the governmental positions, the all hands on deck. But there's a rhyme and a reason for the Lord to do this. And I told you that He can't pour the Spirit too fast, because you'll be ground to dust. You will fall on the rock, which is Jesus. You'll be broken and have love, so much love in your heart to overflow. But if the rock falls on you, you could be ground to dust. You could be vaporized. So you would no longer exist here, because the love is so powerful. I can't even begin to hardly explain to you how powerful Jesus' love is. It can put you on the floor to where you can't even speak anymore. And you'll cry so hard that you sob, and then you won't hardly be able to sob anymore, and then you're like done. You're down for the count. It's not a boxing match. It's the pure, unadulterated love that people have been waiting for all this time. People have been waiting for God to pour out a Spirit for centuries, and the fall happened in 2000. Not 2000, but back in Genesis chapter 3. And now the Grand Awakening is 2023. We waited thousands of years for this. All the angels and saints in heaven are so excited. They're so elated because they're watching what we're going to do next. Like I say, they throw their crowns, their mantles or crowns at your feet, and because we're going through the great tribulation. But they're so excited up there because they're watching us, that we would do right by the Lord in this time and in this season. So that the whole planet this time, that Satan's not coming back. It's a 1,000-year reign. Satan's lost control. We're just watching a bad television, a bad lying show. And don't watch that stuff. If you want to see a good horror movie, just watch the news. Okay, so if you want to know what God's doing, just search it out. There's plenty of us out here echoing what Jesus is saying. And get ready, be ready at a moment's notice to heal, to pray for healing of the sick, and pray that Jesus will be reborn in the hearts of mankind. So, with that said, I'm going to go back to work. All right, God bless you. All right, bye.